Hi everyone, this is Donnie Lowy from Closeoutexplosion.com. Hope you're doing well today. I'd like to give you some wholesale consignment merchandise sales tips. Now, when you're selling wholesale consignment merchandise, what you're actually doing is you're borrowing the merchandise and you're only paying for the merchandise when you sell it. And then if you do sell it, then you make a profit and you give the cost of the merchandise to the business which you actually borrow the merchandise from. And if you don't sell that merchandise, then you return the merchandise to the wholesale source that gave it to you. Now, one important sales tip to keep in mind is you don't need to panic to sell that merchandise. Some people buy wholesale merchandise and they feel a rush to sell it. In this case, you don't have to because you haven't invested any money in it. Right now, the only thing you have invested is your time, but also, to be fair, the space where you're storing that merchandise. If you have a lot of extra space, then that's not an issue. But if your space is limited, then you do need to turn over the merchandise. You need either to sell it or make a decision that the merchandise isn't going to sell, and then you return the merchandise. Now, when you do sell consignment merchandise, so a really good tip is to be in touch with the owner of the merchandise and find out how flexible they are in the price. They might tell you that they want to sell, let's say, those women's suits at $50 each. And now you're going to try to sell them in your store at $80 or $90 each. But let's say a great customer comes and the customer is ready to buy every single suit, but the customer wants to pay $50 for those suits. Now, if you sell at $50, you won't make any money, so you might assume, okay, you're going to have to say no, and you lose the sale, because why would the owner of the merchandise go below that price? So instead, call the wholesaler who actually gave you those suits and tell them the situation, and they might be eager to sell those suits even at their cost, or they might still make a small profit because maybe their cost is below the $50 per suit. Another tip is to advertise the merchandise and to keep the merchandise fresh. What do I mean by that? If you bring merchandise into your store or to your warehouse and it's consignment merchandise, the temptation is not to push it because you haven't spent any money buying that merchandise. But if your customers keep coming to your store or warehouse or even website and they see the same merchandise all the time, they're not going to even focus on it, and they're going to assume that you don't have new and exciting things. So either offer it sometimes for sale, then put it away, bring it at other times. Make it nice, make sure it's clean, make sure it looks nice, and if it isn't selling, then return it back to the owner of that merchandise and try to get other merchandise and consignment instead. My website is closeoutexplosion.com.